美联合国代表上台发言被炮轰。
场景一
There are days I do all right, but that money goes really fast because it costs a lot to live. You know, especially with a wife, you know, 3 meals a day, you know, you splurge sometimes, socks, new clothes, you know, a shower is a really hard thing.
What people don't understand, it's, you know, this is not a job that gives you self-esteem.
Yeah, no.
Panhandling,
no.
Hey, people spit at you, call you names, pour coffee on you.
Yeah, right. But you have to be ready for that. Like, and it gets to the point where it doesn't even matter. You don't care because you need it so bad. You know, and survival comes first. And we as human beings will do anything to survive. You know?
Now, is like when I said anybody, any service providers, any homeless?
They try, but I can't keep a cell phone because it gets stolen. I can't keep a cell phone charged when I do got it. There are people that stop by once in a while and take down my name and my information and say they're going to help, and then I see them again maybe 2 or 3 times here and there, or I see them again and they turn their head and walk the other way and feel ashamed they didn't help me or couldn't help me. I have people that throw me $10, $20 and think that's going to solve everything, and next time they're mad at me because I'm not off the street because they're $10 or $20. But I'm at a point where I'm.
场景二
in this body. This body should revoke the credentials of Venezuela's representative to the United Nations and seat the representative of the Free Venezuelan government in this body without delay. With all due respect, Mr. Ambassador, you shouldn't be here. You should return to Venezuela and tell Nicolas Maduro that his time is up. It's time.
场景三
ES
Draft Resolution A/ES-10/L22 is adopted.
The United States will remember this day in which it was singled out for attack in the General Assembly for the very act of exercising our right as a sovereign nation. And we will remember it when so many countries come calling on us, as they so often do, to pay.
场景四
Walk through the towns and villages, I would see everywhere, no matter what time of day, people would be working. But often, they'd be working for themselves. Is that the number of new enterprises that started in China doubled between 2010 and 2016. Okay, that's fine. But let me tell you what it doubled to. 1.6 million. Still not impressed? Let me put that in context. 1.6 million new businesses created in China is more than all the new businesses created in Germany, the United Kingdom, and the United States, all rolled together. It's an incredible investment.
场景五
been sliding down. This in the same 30-year period, the bottom 50% in China have had their best 30 years in 3,000 years. So at a time when the Chinese people are experiencing the most amazing improvements in their standard of living, you must remember also, for most of Chinese history, the bottom 50% struggled to survive. They would die in famines and civil wars, and they had a very rough life. And the last 30 years, they have access to education, housing, healthcare, travel in a way they never ever had before in their lives. So after China has gone through the best 30-year period ever under the Chinese Communist Party, the United States is telling the Chinese people, why don't you get rid of Chinese
Iranian weapons proliferation.
You either support North Korea or you support us. You've seen sanctions from the United States. You've seen sanctions from the European Union.
We're not just seeing activity in Yemen. What we're also seeing is activity in Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, and we'll be able to show all of those, and there is more coming.
We need every head of state in the region to be speaking out.
If Assad...
场景六
It is consistent with the law of the sea. It's the international understanding of what innocent passage is.
The United States is not a party to the UNCLOS. Isn't that correct?
So we have conducted freedom of navigations. Yeah. So
do China, Taiwan, and the Philippines say that their own claims are excessive? It seems to me that you have just decided that that they're excessive because under the terms of a treaty to which you're not a party.
So they have asserted requirements for vessels transiting, and it is inconsistent with international law of the sea. The U.S. operation, our freedom of navigation challenges that as these signatories.
But you didn't. But you ignored them. Basically, this ship just barged in. Without
consistent with international
law. But I mean, you didn't notify anybody.
No, we
you just went in. But that's my question is, who decides whether a claim is excessive?
So it is the international law of the sea. It's my understanding that determines this.
A party to the international law.
But this is a common understanding among these claimants.
Well, do they say that their own claims are excessive?
So there's 3 nations that have.
Any of them accept you're saying that their claim is excessive?
So we were operating in accordance with.
场景7
You're the one here at 6 o'clock in the morning.
I don't even blame the Chinese. I don't blame them at all. They did everything right. It's you all that are hyping things up. Goodbye.
Very busy few weeks in American foreign policy.
Nikki Haley, the blood is on your hands. You continue to sign off on the genocide of a native people. You are an accomplice to terrorists and colonizers. Woo!
Nikki, can you see? Nikki, can't you see? You are feeling free.
Come on, guys.
Nikki, can't you see? You are feeling free. Haley, you can't hide. You signed off on genocide. Nikki Haley, you can't hide. You signed off on genocide. Nikki Haley, you will see.
场景8
One superpower economically within the next few years. But the main thing that he emphasized to me was, the main purpose of his call was to say very frankly to me on private line that the Chinese were getting.
场景9
Understood what the hell the Chinese were on, us being in the West, understood what the Chinese were really on about when they were making this proposal. And what it would mean. I think we probably thought, well, when China gets its hands on Hong Kong, it'll just be like the rest of the People's Republic of China. It's just window dressing until they get their hands on it. Well, we were so darn wrong, weren't we? Because today, Hong Kong is as different from the rest of the PRC as it was in 1997. They meant it. They meant it. Why did we get it wrong? We got it wrong because we have a nation-state logic. What's a nation-state logic? One nation, one system. German unification after 1989. What happened? East Germany disappeared. Reconstituted on the basis of West Germany, the new Germany. It was a perfectly logical way of doing it for Germany because Germany is a nation-state, but China is not a nation-state. China is primarily a civilization state. It is impossible to run a country of this extraordinary size and diversity on the basis of rule from Beijing, and everything is the same. It's a this is a continent. This has got 1.3 billion people. That province those 4 provinces together have a population larger than that of the United States. Those 9 provinces there each have a population larger than that of Britain or France. It is vast. It varies enormously, not just economically, but also politically, culturally, or in many different ways. The only way that China could run is on the basis of actually one civilization, several systems. So this has got enormous importance. Okay, I'll stop talking about civilization state now.
场景10
own version of super cool, and that is nail big. Nail big. It was like, oh.
Yeah, big. Yeah. No, yeah, big. Where have you been? No, that Bush sketch. Yeah, big. So you're saying that that's there? It doesn't really roll off the tongue. So
well, if he spoke Mandarin, it would roll off the tongue. All right, but here's the thing. Here's what Neo-B means.
Okay.
It means cow's vagina.
Why? Why is that super cool in China?
Well, you know, after saying it constantly, Niao big.
场景11
To build ports and different
To
infrastructure.
build what?
Port.
And what's wrong with that?
And well, because
Countries that need ports get ports.
but they're making people dependent on. I mean, I know it's the same thing that we've done, which is
No, it's not.
horrible around the world.
They are far more humanistic than the United States ever was.
Really? Okay.
Absolutely.
Great. So.
Let me give you an example. Of course, they are peddling for influence.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they are non-interventionist. Absolutely non-interventionist in a way that Europeans, the West, has never managed to fathom. The Chinese never asked Apple to go to Shenzhen and produce all the iPhones. It was Steve Jobs that decided that. Yeah? Mm-hmm. It was not China that went to Washington, D.C. and demanded that they buy a third of your national debt. If they hadn't bought it, you would be in serious trouble. Mm-hmm. When it comes to the influence of China outside its borders, it's quite remarkable that they don't seem to have any military ambitions. Instead of going into Africa with troops, colonially, destroying the country, killing people like the West has done for the last 100 years, what they did was they went to Addis Ababa and they said to the government, we can see you have problems with your infrastructure. We would like to build some new airports, upgrade your railway system, create a telephone system, and rebuild your roads. And we'll do this all for free.
场景12
As some media reports and experts note, China takes advantage of its social system and gives full play to the role of the government. Concentrating resources to solve major problems, as Chinese often put it, is how China has overcome major obstacles over the past decades. Under the command of President Xi Jinping himself, a series of measures unprecedented in history have unfolded. A key move was to lock down the outbreak epicenter, Wuhan, to contain spread of the epidemic. With a population of over 10 million, Wuhan is one of China's busiest transport hubs.
The Chinese government is to be congratulated for the extraordinary measures it has taken to contain the outbreak. Wuhan people and Hubei province in general, they're paying a lot. It protects their people, and also it protects the rest of the world. And doing this for humanity is something.
场景13
Well, you feel very strongly, obviously, and it's something wherever we go in the country, we're hearing these complaints about our transport structure. Isabel Oakeshott.
Well, totally not. I mean, as a hard-pressed commuter who suffers daily on substandard train services, that absolutely can't be right. And I was looking into this earlier and just wondering, for the sake of argument, how the Chinese do these things. And I noticed that they were able to build a whole new station in the space of 9 hours by flooding it with thousands of workers. We should be much more imaginative about getting infrastructure.
场景14
Government to do a stay-at-home order so that people will stay at home, and hopefully we can get through this virus quickly. So last night, finally, the government listened, and as of midnight last night, there was a stay at home. So everybody's at home. I'm at home. Well, I had to go into the car because I'm so angry I had to get out of my parents' house. So I'm quarantined in the car. So everybody's at home, and the rule says we all have to stay home unless we have to go shopping for food. However, there was one small loophole. Churches are allowed to remain open, and they're allowed to have big gatherings with anybody who wants to go worship in the church. Do you get it? Do you see the irony? Do you see how hypocritical? How can you possibly tell everybody to go home, and yet if you want to go worship Jesus, you're allowed to go with a big group of people and pray?
场景15
economically than the United States. 2 to 3 times faster. It's not even close. That's why the Chinese are now the only rival to the United States and the European Union, and becoming more powerful as a rival literally every month. So they've managed a faster economic growth. But that's not all. They've been better able to mobilize society to solve key social problems. One of them we're living through right now, the coronavirus pandemic. Look at the difference between the Chinese focus on closing down Wuhan and closing down the province of which Wuhan was a capital, really crunching down on this virus so it didn't spread, versus the United States, whose parties and government bicker and delay and stall and can't mobilize anything comparable, so that we have here in the United States 4% of the world's population and 25% of the world's corona cases and corona deaths. They've been better able to handle that kind of emergency with their system. And they've also been able to undertake enormous decisions, the likes of which we haven't. They committed themselves 20 years ago to develop their infrastructure, their roads, their highways, their trains, their cities, their apartment buildings. They have been so successful, they build in advance of the demand. They have whole cities fully equipped with transportation buildings that are empty. These are not failures. These are intentional, making the materials available for the country to grow.
Preview.